So this building that you're seeing behind me and those windows behind me, one of those is my office. Tiana Rehman. I am the Collections Manager of the Phyllocology Herbarium here at the Botanical Research Institute of Texas. I am a caretaker, I'm a curator. I am entrusted with the care of almost 1.5 million scientific specimens of plants that have been collected over 200 years. Of contributing to these specimens, I collect my own plants and I deposit them here, but I also get to look after the collections made by scientists all over the world. Specimens are important because they serve as evidence for research done by these scientists. It tells us about our world and what is growing in our world, but it gives us something important. It gives us a primary source of data that we can go to ask questions about our world today, our world in the past, and it allows us, with those 2 points, it allows us to even predict what our world might look like in the future, and what the future is of some of these plants. So my job is to look after this, to make sure the specimens are cared for, to make sure that they're accessible when scientists want to come visit or they want to borrow the specimens. It's also my job to look at our collection and see how I can improve it. Well, how do I improve it? I can improve the ways that the collections are taken care of. I can look at what are the gaps in our collections. What are we missing? What do we need to paint a fuller picture about our world? And that lets me either try to collect some of these plants myself. It helps me direct maybe other people in collecting these plants, but it also helps me solicit other researchers and their vouchers, their herbarium specimens, for deposit here in our collection. I was fortunate enough that I was able to grow up in the Philippines in Southeast Asia. And I think it was a mix of growing up in this amazingly biodiverse location, and also my own interest in the natural world and my interest in organizing and putting information together. Growing up over there, I knew I was going to come to the United States for college. I knew I was interested in people and how they lived in their world, and I was interested in plants and other living organisms. So I narrowed it down to environmental science and geography or anthropology that I was interested in. I ended up in Texas because it was one of the warmest schools that I applied to, and it was also the school that gave me the largest scholarship to attend. So, one of the exciting things we get to do in the herbarium is one of the services we provide our community is plant identification. We have been asked to identify plants because somebody just wanted to know what they were and they saw them outside. Something as innocent as that. Sometimes we've been asked to identify something because somebody's had an allergic reaction to it. Sometimes it's been something much more dramatic, and it's been something that's been involved in a criminal case. I've had the opportunity to help identify material that has been submitted to us by police or by other criminal justice departments and areas and disciplines to help us identify that material. So that can often be rather exciting. Or, the other day though, I was helping a botanist identify a plant here in Texas, and with our current conditions, people aren't able to visit. So we did a lot of back and forth through video conferencing to identify this plant. And we came up with what we think is the identity of this plant. And it's something interesting, right? It's something that's not very common, and it gives us information that the world didn't have before. So I suppose that's one of my exciting things is all these problems, some of them are problems that people have dealt with for hundreds of years, will deal with again into the future. But some of them, the solution is something new. When I got to SMU, I decided to double major in environmental science and anthropology, and I had some really excellent courses in geology, which any botanist knows is something that's very important to determine where plants grow. So having an understanding of geology and soils is really important. having an understanding of human impact. That's what my anthropology classes gave me. Why do these plants grow here? Do they grow here because they've naturally spread through seed, through bird dispersal? Or are these trade routes of peoples that lived in these lands way before us? So having those two perspectives gave me a nice interdisciplinary approach to looking at our world. So I would say that I have used STEM disciplines or STEM aspects in most of my daily operations. It governs the decisions I have to make about what specimens to put first in the freezer, because my specimens some of the specimens that came in have to be in the freezer for a week because I suspect that they may have insect infestation. But normally I keep specimens in there for about 4 days. So I use STEM skills to make decisions on a daily basis, often when I'm not even thinking about them, about prioritizing my day, about making my day more efficient and figuring out that I need to do this before I do this so that it's much faster to do this. So those are the kinds of ways I make those decisions. I'm also fortunate, and I think every one of us will end up working in collaborative teams. That's the nature of science, is often these collaborations, and especially in what we do. And part of that means, how do you manage a team? How do you work within a team? So having these project management skills is something I wish I had taken in school. I wish I had taken business classes to learn about project management, how to show progress in my projects. Also, one of the things I deal with is budgets and figure out, well, how much money am I going to need for this or that? So that involves obviously math skills, learning budgeting skills. It also involves interacting with people, being able to talk to vendors about what kind of needs I have. I need to discuss, are they archival materials? Because I want my specimens to last a long time. So I need to know that the materials I'm using are archival, which means they will last long periods of time. They won't damage the specimen. So I certainly use STEM skills probably every single day. Our world is rapidly changing, and seeing those changes around me gives me a sense of urgency. We need to document what we have. We don't know what will happen in the future. In some cases, we know what will happen, say at a specific site. It's going to be developed or demolished. So I would say there's a sense of urgency, that knowing our world will change beyond our control, knowing that this moment can't be lived by anyone else. This moment is an opportunity for us to collect data that will be useful to scientists in the future. So it's an obligation of sorts as well. Every day I get presented with something new. I get presented with something new that I learn, a new problem that I have to solve, and I get better at it every day, I believe. But I'm always throwing a curveball, and I always have to, learn something else new. So driving me is the ability to learn and have something challenge me every day. And especially in my position, I feel like I have often the best of all worlds. I have the opportunity to collect and curate my own specimens, to identify my plants, but I also have the opportunity to be the caretaker for other botanists and their work, and I get to learn through those things. I would say do your very best to look around you and see what opportunities you have. The fact that I am today living my dream job, getting to study the plants that I love and getting to work with some pretty incredible people and challenged by all these problems every day, I attribute all of that to attending a lecture given by one of the research scientists here at BRIT. If I hadn't made that connection and later down the line emailed that person, I don't think I would have ended up here. I would have ended up somewhere else. I would be in the sciences, but I don't know if I would be as fulfilled as I am today with this job.